We can now go across to France 24's Irris Mackler standing by in Jerusalem. Irris, you've interviewed Khader Adnan about a decade ago after his last hunger strike. What was his reasoning back then?
Yes, that was around 2012. He went on a 66-day hunger strike. This activist from Palestinian Islamic Jihad, he wasn't a militant leader, but what he was protesting then was the fact that he had been arrested without charge. And so people are held, Israel holds prisoners without telling them what they've been arrested for, and then it releases them. It's a bureaucratic mechanism. That was not the case this time. Israel is still employing that. There are something like 970 Palestinian prisoners held under administrative detention now, one of the highest numbers, I think, for 20 years. But that wasn't the case currently with Khader Adnan. He returned to prison often. He'd been in prison, I think, something like 10 times overall for longish stints. This was, I think, either his third or fourth hunger strike. When I interviewed him, he'd been in prison on hunger strike for 66 days. He then did another one for 50 days and this one over 80 days. And this is how he met his death. It's very interesting to hear the reaction of his wife this morning, who has called on the Palestinian militant groups who she alleges didn't help him enough in his life to deal with his problems. She said she doesn't want rockets coming in from Gaza today because that will only bring more trouble down on the heads of Gazans. Where were they when he needed them?
And talk us through the reaction this death is likely to cause, because as I said earlier, tensions have been heightened between Israelis and Palestinians for months now.
That's right. And Khader Adnan has become a symbol. I can't recall now the last time a Palestinian prisoner on hunger strike actually died during that hunger strike. So because of that, because of his history, because of his Islamic Jihad membership, he is now a symbol. So that's why we saw the rocket fire from Gaza into Israel this morning. There may well be an Israeli response to that. We've seen strikes throughout the West Bank, the occupied West Bank today already. We've seen Palestinians the Palestinian Authority calling for an international investigation into the circumstances of Adnan's death. And there's no doubt that this ratchets up the tension. And we've heard from Israeli authorities that they are also prepared for a possible escalation. So it's very tense here this morning.
Irris, thank you very much for that. Irris Mackler reporting there for us from Jerusalem.